So, folks, there are these things called tax cuts, and we're going to talk a little bit about them because I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole today. And before we get into that, hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, do the things you know help YouTube channels. Do them, please. I need to grow larger so that I can be bigger than Hassan physically. every time you do those things, I become larger. Anyway, so I wanted to know what's up with Dennis Prager, right? So I went over to PragerU to see if they had any updates about his physical health condition, because I believe he like slipped and fell in the shower or something, had to go to like urgent care, like the hospital, like fractured his spine, got pneumonia. I was like, did he die? Like, I haven't seen him in a while. Like, what's his deal? And so I watched through an entire 10-minute video, so you guys don't have to. And like, apparently he's in like a special hospital, where he's recovering from the spinal injury. He doesn't have pneumonia anymore, I guess, but like, guess he's not good enough to like call or something. You know, I don't know. He's not doing great.
Just graduated from my ethics and rhetoric bachelor's on Saturday. Enjoy a lil of my celebration money, Purple Heart. Let's get bigger than Asmongold smile with horns.
Ivory Valentine, thank you for the tier 2 sub. A rarer type of sub. Thank you so much. And yes, let's get bigger than Asmongold, that weird, filthy freak. Anyway, as I was learning more about Dennis Prager, my eye happened to wander over to the rest of PragerU's videos, and I saw hilariously a video titled, "Do Tax Cuts Work?" And I thought, what better way to like cap our discussion of a gigantic tax handout to the wealthiest people to ever exist in America than to go over a 5-minute long PragerU video about the efficacy of tax cuts that they made almost certainly to peddle pro-billionaire propaganda. So let's find out, shall we? Let's go take a look. Let's go take a look. Do tax cuts work?
Do tax cuts work? Are they good for workers, families, and businesses? Are they good for the economy? The right says yes, as long as the government can fund its core functions. The left says sometimes, but only if they're targeted toward low and middle income earners. Tax cuts for the wealthy, they say, are
the wealthy. Why did you need air quotes around wealthy? Yeah, we're not talking like an abstract, like wealthy tax. We're talking to like people who are millionaires. People who are millionaires are wealthy. They can afford to pay more taxes.
always bad. This gets to the heart of the dilemma. What is the right level of taxation? Tax too little, and there won't be enough money for the basics, like the military, police, fire, courts, roads. Tax too much, and nobody is motivated to work. If nobody works...
What? If you tax too much, people won't be motivated enough to work?
Just want a
Oh, it's the Dodo Ghost! I work hard for my money. Don't tax me, bro. I pay my taxes. Malachi, thank you for the tier 2 sub. I very, very much appreciate it. Yeah, those basics seem to be missing a few things, right? I was about to observe that. Midnight All Night.
I'm a billionaire in spirit.
Midnight All Night, thank you for the sub over on Twitch. I appreciate that as well. But like, I don't know, I think we could maybe do better than the basics. You know, like, hey, you know, just a thought, maybe the United States government, you know, the government of one of the wealthiest nations to ever exist in the history of mankind, maybe we can do a little bit better than providing just the most basic of possible services. Maybe we could actually have, you know, instead of that, maybe we could have a government that provides deluxe services, you know? Like, that could be a society in which, and I'm just spitballing here, people are taxed at a high rate, but the benefit of that is that we get deluxe services that allow all of us to live happier, healthier, better lives in general. While, maybe some of us couldn't become billionaires, but we could all live a lot better. I'm just spitballing here. That seems like it would be better for most people. Hey, social warlock. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Not a regular watcher. That's all right. You're more than welcome here. But what if nobody works? Yeah, all these people would never go to work, if they weren't, if they were taxed too high, they would simply stop going to work. The firefighters would look outside and see all the burning buildings and say, I'm taxes too high. They could save themselves, and then go back to grilling and chilling, I guess. I feel like perfect time for marshmallow. What are you doing? No, of course not.
There's nothing to tax. Like Goldilocks' porridge, a good government tries to get it just right.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Wait. Are we about to get the what's it called? The curve? Not the bell curve. My brain wants to say bell curve. We about to get the come on, chat. One of you can pick up my melting brain pieces. The Laffer curve. Thank you, Knifeiest Duck.
Right. So, can tax cuts create more prosperity? And
because basically this video just described the Laffer curve, which is the idea that, if you have too many taxes, nobody works. And if you have too little taxes, things don't function. So you need to have a sweet spot, And Arthur Laffer wrote that on a napkin at a restaurant. And it became the basis of our economic function for 40 years. And it turns out, like most things written on napkins, it was complete bullshit.
Give the government the revenue it needs? If only we could study a real-life example. Oh, wait, we can. The 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, also known as the Trump tax cuts.
Man, I did not know we were going to go this hard. I thought this was going to be a video, trying to propagandize to children. I didn't realize we were going full on propaganda world here. This is wild.
It's not like higher wages would balance out higher taxes or anything, huh?
Here, you know what? Let's just take a quick look here. There we go. Found myself a little citation to provide in a bit. Let's continue on, shall we? Because there's some really interesting things about the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that I think they're just going to ignore and make some wild claims about.
What exactly did they do? They reduced the income tax rate for virtually everyone by 2 to 4 percentage points. So,
hey, I'm just gonna just
tax
put that
rate
back
for
up on
virtually
screen.
everyone by 2 to 4 percentage points.
Hey, now, folks, I'm just gonna ask this real quick. If somebody is making minimum wage, or hell, let's say they're making $80,000 a year. Let's say they're making $80,000 per year. Okay, their income tax is reduced by 2 to 4%. All right, so let's just say 80,000. I got my calculator app up. Times 0.0. Let's say 3. You know what? Let's be generous. Let's say the 4 percentage points, right? So they save $32,000 per year. Oh, sorry, not 32. I meant $3,200 per year. I mean, that's decent-ish, I guess. However, and I'm just going to throw this out there. What if someone's making $8 million per year? What's that? Well, what's 4% of 8 million? Oh, that's That's a lot more. That's 320,000. That's oh. Wow. Okay. So if you were making $8 million a year, $320,000? That seems a lot, actually. Huh. It feels like you know, like maybe one of these numbers is bigger. Like the $320,000 is exponentially more money for someone who is already wealthy versus someone who's, doing pretty okay. Huh. What about somebody who's making $8 billion per year? Just out of curiosity here. Oh, that comes out to $320 million. Huh. So, and just as a point of reference, earlier today we were talking about budget cuts to breakthrough research on newborn baby heart pumps that got destroyed because Donald Trump pulled funding from that. And that funding was $6.5 million. Just out of curiosity, divided by 6,500,000. Just hear me out. So we basically gave around 49 times that to someone making $8 billion per year. Huh. Okay, so what it kind of seems like is that if you're not making a lot of money, 2 to 4 percentage points doesn't make that big of a difference to you. But if you're making a lot of money, 2 to 4 percentage points is a lot of money. That's so weird how that works. Like, percentages for rich people seem really small, but it actually adds up to a lot of money. That's wild. Who could have foreseen this?
So, if your income tax rate was 15%, it is now 12%. Before 25%, now 22%. Before 28, now 24. Before 40, now 37. If you were a salaried employee, you got a tax cut. Small business owner, tax cut. Corporations, tax cut. From 35%, one of the highest in the world, to 21%.
Hey, fun fact, we used to have it like 2 or 3 times this.
That led to another benefit. Billions of dollars corporations held overseas.
Actually, for that lower one, we had 4 times that in the past.
In countries with lower tax rates came back to the United States.
Did they though? Let's take a look. Reshoring U.S. under Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Let's take a look. This is from the Wall Street Journal. And we actually covered this a while back, but I'm looking for a very specific part here in this video to play for you guys. Okay.
2018 and 2019, tax revenues went down substantially, bringing less money to the government, while investments by corporations ticked up. The higher corporate tax investment didn't generate enough economic growth to make up for the drop in corporate revenue from the lower tax rate.
Huh. Oh, so it didn't actually help us that much. That's wild. Hey, do we have reshoring? We have reshoring rates. I was looking for that in particular.
To reduce federal revenue by nearly $700 billion over the next 10 years.
Business signs up and down Main Street when their federal tax rate jumps to over 40%.
If the deduction is extended, it's estimated to reduce federal revenue by nearly $700 billion over the
that's crazy. Let's see. It's almost like this is bad. Almost like this didn't actually work. to boost our economy. That's crazy. See here. Don't need to know about pass-through businesses. Yes, the reshoring response was far too small to offset the direct costs of the reform. Wowee! That's crazy. Excellent stuff.
The bill also increased the child tax credit, further lowering household tax liability. Did these tax cuts work? Let's
No.
examine the numbers. The average tax cut for working and middle-income taxpayers ranged from $1,500 to $3,000. The bottom half of earners saw the largest reduction in the amount of taxes they paid, over 16%.
I wonder, does 16% in tax reduction to like the lowest income earners actually like translate into that much money? No, it doesn't. On an individual by individual basis, if you're making like minimum wage, this does not help you that much.
Conclusion: virtually everyone's taxes went down. Black.
That's true. But the amount that it went down for billionaires in raw numbers is exponentially bigger than the amount that went down. Hey, fun fact, let's just see real quick. There's a nice little, yeah, here we go. Yeah, if you were a full-time employee, on average, you saved $750, which, that's not nothing. But when you compare it to like how much your average billionaire got from these tax cuts in the hundreds of millions of dollars, this is pretty peanuts, we'll say. Also, let's just take a look. Hey, here is a wonderful thing from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Despite claims from President Trump that the administration's Council of Economic Advisors, there's no evidence that the 2017 tax law, which included deep tax cuts skewed towards the wealthy and corporations and drove up deficits, had significant positive impacts on the economy during Trump's first term. As my colleague Brendan Duke and I explain in a new paper, the combination of extending and adding more tax cuts skewed to the wealthy, executive actions that undermine basic governance, and enormous tariffs, assuming they are implemented, will cost jobs and raise prices for consumers and businesses, making it harder for families to afford the basics. And we can take a look here. The original legislation did little to spur economic growth during the pre-pandemic period. Economic growth barely changed in the 2 years after the law relative to the 2 years before the law. The rate of overall business investment slowed after the tax law's enactment, as did consumption. Because guess what a lot of those companies did with their tax breaks? They reinvested them into themselves. Ironically, real GDP growth rose slightly because of increases in government spending following passage of the 2018 Bipartisan Budget Act, which boosted defense and non-defense appropriations funding. The GDP failed to accelerate in the 2 years up until the final quarter of 2017 to the 2 years after. So literally, GDP barely grew. Consumer spending actually got worse. Business investment dropped. Housing investment dropped. And, oh, weird, government spending increased. Weird. It's almost like these propagandists are lying to you. It's almost like PragerU is funded by billionaires who really want their tax cuts.
Blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, men, women, people with a college degree, and people without one. So why do critics of tax cuts claim they only help the rich? Here we have to apply.
Because they help everyone, but they predominantly help the rich by like exponentially more. That's why. It's not difficult. 10% to someone who's making like $100, that's $10. 10% to someone who's making $10 million is $1 million. That's why. The percentage can look big, but it doesn't translate into big bucks unless you're really rich.
Apply some common sense. When you reduce tax rates, even by a little bit, on someone already paying a lot of taxes, they will see big savings. For example, if Jeff Bezos gets a 1% tax cut, that number is going to be huge.
Yep.
But for a family making a middle-class income, the number clearly will be much smaller. This is just math.
Yes, it is just math. Which is why you should increase the tax rate on Jeff Bezos. Because that family is actually using their money and circulating it in the economy. Jeff Bezos is sitting on it like a goddamn dragon. Or using it on his weird personal pet projects like putting Katy Perry into space.
Here's what is not in dispute. High earners pay most of our taxes, by a lot. In 2021, the top 10% paid 76% of federal income taxes.
And you know what? They should pay more. Let them pay 90% of it. They benefit from the federal spending. Like, they are able to make as much money as they do because of the federal government. They should pay more. Historically, they did pay more.
And the top 1% paid 46% of taxes.
Yeah, and you know what? They should pay more. Make it 90%.
Maybe instead of denigrating these people, we should be thanking them.
No, because they are constantly paying off government officials to pay less and less taxes and shift the tax burden from themselves, people who have more money than God, onto working people who need to struggle to make ends meet month to month. Fuck you.
They finance a truly disproportionate amount of government services and benefits.
And they should finance more of it.
But, critics will insist. What about those greedy corporations that pocketed the tax cuts and didn't pass it on to their employees?
They didn't. Like, again, they didn't. Like, you can say, oh, but they did. They did. Yeah, a pittance. A pittance while they took the lion's share. Fuck you.
First, you should be aware that corporations don't actually pay these taxes. We, the consumers, do. Corporations build them into the prices of the goods and services we buy. And
that's true for some taxes. It's not true for all taxes.
They did pass tax cuts onto their employees. In the year after the tax cuts took effect,
also, companies will also choose not to pass it on to their employees. Most companies don't pass on, like, the tax cut benefits to their employees. Fuck off. Fuck right off. Like, when you talk about corporations passing on the benefits to the employees, generally, and I don't know that this is what is going to be brought up here, but generally what they actually mean is these companies do stock buybacks and boost the value of the stock, and that stock is partially how they compensate their employees. You know? And then they're giving back to the employees by, boosting their own stocks and net worth.
Median household income rose by $5,000, and wages grew 4.9%.
What about it's interesting you're using the median. That's interesting. I wonder why. Probably no reason, right? Yeah, probably no reason at all.
Let's look at
Don't Google what that means.
Some of those big bad corporations. Chipotle invested over 1/3 of its tax savings in cash and stock bonuses.
Yeah, I bet they invested in those stock bonuses. Hey, can anyone think of why it might be actually super beneficial for a company to give stock bonuses so that their employees all start owning stock in the company? It's almost like getting more stock out there would boost the value of the company. Fuck. Yes, the CEO bonuses. Exactly. You got it, Liz Galahad.
And enhanced benefits like...
Yeah, also, just real quick, are the people making the burritos, are they getting stock options? Fuck off. Fuck off.
Parental leave and short-term disability for its 71,000 employees. See, parental leave and short-term disability for its...
Yeah. No, they're doing that. They're doing that to retain employees because people don't like working in fast food restaurants. That's not a result of the tax cuts. It's not like the company got tax cuts and said, yes, time to be beneficent for a change. No.
71,000 employees. CVS increased starting pay to $11 an hour.
Wow. Oh my God, $11 whole dollars an hour? Oh my God, $11 whole dollars an hour? $11 whole dollars an hour. At a time when like minimum wage in order to keep track with like inflation should have been $20 an hour. Fuck you.
Paid for health insurance premium increases and created a paid parental leave program. Lowe's gave thousands of
Hey, you know what would have been great? And I'm just spitballing here, but the government mandating parental leave programs and also providing universal health care so that, like, I don't know, you don't have to rely on the goodwill of a company that is fundamentally driven by profit motive. Because, like, understand what they're essentially trying to spin here is that corporations just have all this goodwill, and if they get their costs cut, they'll pass on the savings to the consumer and to the worker. You know, they're just fundamentally good. They're human oriented and won't at all just feed human beings into the meat grinder if it aids their bottom line. You know, they're really relying on their audience, never having opened the book by Upton Sinclair called The Jungle. You know, like, companies are driven by the profit motive. That's capitalism. Like, it's insane coming from the same group of people who are like, great is good, to hear like, oh no, but like companies aren't going to be greedy though. They're not going to prioritize the profit motive. There's generally not a profit motive in doing these things unless you have to.
Fun fact. Giving stock bonuses allows companies to look like they are giving their stockholders bonuses without the risk of diluting their stock's value because stocks are dumb and silly.
Bingo! You got it, very knifey duck.
hourly employees, bonuses of up to $1,000. 10 weeks of paid maternity leave to full-time work.
Wow, bonuses of up to 1,000 whole dollars? Wow. That's crazy. 10 weeks of paid maternity leave for full-time workers. Hey, just out of curiosity, does Lowe's, for the majority of its workforce, have part-time workers? Just out of, I'm spitballing here. I'm going to Google that real quick. Oh, interesting. You can work 40 hours per week as a part-time employee at Lowe's. But after 12 consecutive weeks of working 32 plus hours, they are legally obligated to call you a full-time employee, but they frequently don't do that. Oh, hey, very interesting. Here's an article from 2019. Lowe's goes on massive part-time hiring spree right after laying off thousands in, again, 2019. Wait a minute, I thought under the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017, Lowe's was doing all of these great things. What happened? Surely all of these massive tax cuts for the wealthy spurred nothing but innovation and the betterment of mankind. Oh, that's weird.
Workers and up to $5,000 in adoption assistance. Employees.
Wow. How generous. That's like $5,000 to every employee at Lowe's. Because we all know the stereotype of a Lowe's worker. They always be adopted. Everyone is always saying this. Lowe's workers be adopted.
At Wells Fargo, Walmart, Costco, this list goes on, enjoyed similar benefits. Okay. But all these tax cuts cost the government a ton of money, right? Wrong. Since 2018, when federal revenue was $4.2 trillion, the government has collected more money year after year, except in the COVID lockdown year of 2020. In 2022, Uncle Sam took in over $5.2 trillion. Lower taxes, more money in your pocket, more money in the U.S. Treasury. That sounds like a win-win-win to me.
Yeah, it does certainly sound like that, except that the Tax Cut and Jobs Act reduced or increased the deficit by $2 trillion fucking dollars. Like, you fucking liar. Sounds like a win-win. Yeah, we just blew a $2 trillion hole in our deficit, but, you know, like, that's fine. We only added $2 trillion to the national debt. Sounds like a win-win to me. Fuck off. You made this cut arguing that it's just going to bring all the business of all the world to America, and then it didn't. And then it added $2 trillion to the debt.
How many more wins before we say the obvious? Tax cuts work. My question is this. If lower taxes lead to higher income, higher wages, and higher government revenue, why would anyone want higher taxes?
Yeah, it's not like higher taxes pay for things that people need, like healthcare or like roads or the military, I guess, if people need that. You know, like size, you know, oh, like government research, who needs that? We can go back to just using wheel.
Do you have an answer for that? I'm Patrice Onwuka.
Yes. Yes, it's called literally everything that is good and helps working people in this country. Hey, do you like having roads? Do you like having like public transit? Do you like having like firefighters? Do you like having doctors? Do you like having rural hospitals that run at a loss? Do you like having like any of these things that ensure you are able to live a safe and secure life? Hey, do you like having like groundbreaking technologies that allow you to like live or possibly pursue new career paths? Like, this was insane nonsense. I did not think this would make me as mad as it did. I have to be honest with you guys. Oh man, that's nuts. Look, I would be slightly in favor of tax cuts for like the working class. Like, yeah, sure, give tax cuts to the working class and return to the tax schema, the tax system that made America one of the wealthiest countries on the planet. That doesn't seem like a controversial thing to me. Cut taxes on the working class down to where they used to be and tax the wealthy. Tax billionaires at 99.9% for every dollar they make over $1 billion. Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Like, yeah, let's do that. I don't know. Anyway, Republicans, what are they?
Racist, sexist, Republican. These words are virtually interchangeable.
It's true. I got that sound clip from a PragerU video, actually. Weird how applicable it is. Yeah, and anyway, this was insane. Actually, wait, let's hear her sign off.
Director of the Center for Economic Opportunity.
Just real quick, Center for Economic Opportunity. Let's you know, I'm just curious. Oh, okay. I went to the Center for Economic Opportunity. I'm just kind of scrolling through the page. They have another video here called "Free the Freelancers" that they did with PragerU. What's the best way to protect the rights of workers? Let them determine their own job preferences or mandate that companies provide them with certain protections. California has chosen to take the latter path. Has it worked? Is it a victory for workers or a debilitating defeat? Independent Women's Forum joined PragerU to look at these questions. Our findings may surprise you. And like, oh man, I love the advocacy against workers having rights. It's really good. You know, actually, hey, have you considered that the weekend is an infringement on your freedom? Don't you wish you had the opportunity to work nonstop every single day without a break? Don't you wish you could be worked to death as well in the gig economy? You know, just rise and grind every day. It's really an imposition that, like, some places say that they have a legal obligation to not grind you into dust. But I say you should be able to be ground into dust because, as the Bible says, from dust you came and from dust you shall return, or something like that. I think it was in Genesis. Anyway, die, peon. Like, as somebody who has worked without any worker protections for my entire life, I can tell you I have dreamed of having actual worker protections. I would have loved them. Like, I lost my job during COVID specifically because I had no worker protections. My contract expired and I never heard anything. Last I heard from the place that was paying me and making me able to live during that time was just, oh, don't worry, we'll definitely renew your contract. And then I never heard anything again. Okay? So, like, I don't know. I would have liked to have some financial stability there. Ay, ay, ay. These people are insane. Like, I don't know. Anything that Republicans or Republican think tanks are trying to sell you right now about how successful the Tax Cut and Jobs Act was in 2017, it's a load of horse shit. Okay? In 2017, they added $2 trillion to the deficit. We, by and large, did not benefit from it, and the vast majority of all that money went to the richest motherfuckers on the planet, and they did jack shit for us. So we shouldn't let them do it again, you know? I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and